Now, British Gas is warning customers to stockpile food and water in the event of heavy snow as Storm Bert barrels towards the UK this weekend. This is in the Telegraph this morning. The storm allegedly is set to bring a multi-hazard event to the UK, including heavy snowfall, strong winds and potential flooding. Now, we've got amber and yellow alerts in place for swathes of the country from Saturday morning into Sunday. But here to tell us far more, and someone who knows far more than me, is Joe Wheeler, talk's meteorologist. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, David. I'm loving that shirt.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's not the time of year, but it is very beautiful.
Oh, that's really kind indeed. Well, it's just like the weather isn't.
Exactly. So this storm Bert is causing a bit of a problem. Obviously, there are many, many warnings out. It's faster for me to tell you where there aren't warnings, which is really central, southeastern, eastern areas. Everywhere else we've got warnings. Now, those cover wind, rain, snow and ice. Depends where you are. And really, you know, obviously we watch these storms all the time. We've had this vast area of cold air across the country, and anything that runs into that is likely to give snow at least for a while. Now, this very commonly happens, particularly over western parts of the country, that you get this cold air sitting, something tries to come in, bringing something a little milder. The two meet up, there's a bit of a tussle, you get some snow on the leading edge, and then the milder air takes over, and so the snow turns back to rain. And that's very much what we're going to see today, but timing is all. So actually, this storm has reached many parts of the country already. We're seeing some sleet and snow from parts of Northern Ireland, down through Northern England, which is where we've got the amber warnings for snow today. And then that tails off as a sleety, wintry mix as you go further south. A lot of rain around. We're expecting a lot of rain. Some places will see almost a month's worth of rain come the end of the weekend. And we've got very strong winds as well. Already many places seeing gusts over 60 miles per hour. We're anticipating gusts up to 70 miles per hour. So if we look first just at the travel situation, where you've got a lot of water, where you've got strong winds, that's awful. Where you've got strong winds and snow, when we're talking here places like the Vale of York, moving up into the borders and parts of Scotland, the second amber is through central parts of Scotland. Here we could see blizzard conditions for a while, really quite unpleasant on the roads, dangerous as well. 5 to 10 centimetres at lower levels, could see more than that when we start getting to higher elevations. So it's going to take a while for that milder air to eventually catch up with that snow, turn it back to rain. And alongside all the water that's coming out of the sky, where you get temperatures changing rapidly, which you will because this milder air is moving in, you also get a rapid thaw and a snow melt. So in addition to what's going out of the sky, you've got all the stuff that's coming off the ground as well. And to give you some idea of the temperature comparison, we're starting off this morning in the far northeast, that's parts of Scotland, with -7 degrees Celsius. But in the southwest of Ireland, already 14 degrees Celsius. And as we go overnight tonight, those temperatures likely to be holding at around 15 Celsius. So becoming incredibly mild, you know, really, really mild. Now, as this system moves off tomorrow, and it will take a while, certainly tomorrow, we've still got heavy rain in the south. We could still be seeing storm force winds up in the northwest. So it's by no means over by the time we get to tonight. Central parts of the country will see some fairly bright weather. But as I say, this storm is going to be pretty much a 2-day event. We've got further rain to come by the middle of the week, which again won't be appreciated given the fact that we've seen all this rain over the weekend. And more to the point, those mild conditions only really last the weekend, and then colder air starts tucking back in again.
Sounds delightful, Joe. Thanks ever so much. Really good to talk to you. Joe Wheeler there, talks meteorologist. Raj, just in terms of that, there's a real sort of human price to this. I'm very mindful that the winter fuel payment has been stopped, and we know that people are going to be struggling. I've talked to older people who are very nervous about putting the heating on. You've got British Gas there saying stockpile food and water as well. It's really important to check on elderly relatives and neighbours, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And to what extent have we lost that sense of community where people don't even know their neighbours, don't speak to them? But I think this is a very important point. People tend to turn to governments and state systems as the mechanism by which people will get assistance. Back in the day, decades ago, people turned to their neighbours as the social welfare net. And to some extent, it usually is a better system, actually, relying on people around you, your family and your neighbours, than relying on governments.
What does this do to the psychology of the nation if you see the government imposing poverty or allowing older people to struggle in the winter when we see weather changing? Again, if you were a strategist, you wouldn't have brought this policy in when they did as winter approaches.
Yeah. But again, we come back to the point, to what extent is this a group of people who are good at campaigning and getting elected is a different thing to governing. And often the electorate misunderstands that. People can campaign well, doesn't mean they can govern well. But as I said before, Labour is going to spend the money. We're taking the hits in terms of how they're taking money, and their theory is that when they spend the money, we'll notice an improvement in services, and we won't feel quite so upset. So they're waiting for time and the spending to occur. But the trouble is we both know that the spending doesn't necessarily deliver an improvement service. That's the big gamble. Will people find that they can get an appointment with their GP in a few months' time? If they can, the Labour gamble may have come off, but if they don't, it won't have come off. That's why Tony Blair was popular, because he created this delivery unit. The delivery unit would set very specific targets to try and ensure delivery occurred. And that whole word delivery became one of the cornerstones of his government.